you are going to need to want to have the vision for focus that is going to say, I'm going to continue in the journey of discovering me, of releasing authority on things that are not absolutely me, understanding that even some of the best of you was a period piece and not a forever you piece. And some of those period pieces are the ones that will be a part of helping to establish the story, validate the strength, continue to show others of your ongoing significant success, but it's not the forever you or the only you. Welcome to the Leveraging Success Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Gerhardt. Every time that we're together, I want to help you work less, make more. And through the freedom that you gain and the margin that you start to store up, you're going to be able to use that to be an incredible husband, wife, parent, and most importantly, an incredible kingdom leader, living the life mission that God put you on. I want to help you get more freedom by leveraging your success. We're going to talk about that today in the form of talking about delegation. And delegation is a key tool to being able to be strategic and be able to gain your freedom. I want to talk all about that. I'm really excited to be able to dive into this subject that for many, it's been a bit of a challenge of how do I do this, or why should I do it, or what's the motivation? I want to be able to answer all of those questions and more, as well as giving you some practical tools as to how to do that. First off, I'm just back from a week out of the office. Vacation for me is not the first time that I'm getting a fill up or connection with my family, but it's the concentrated moment when I'm able to be away with them. It's been so exciting. In fact, I've got to give a shout out to Rod and Heather Fletcher, who run the Campus by the Sea family camp. In fact, I'm going to put the link into the notes because you're going to want to know about this. If you've never done it before, if you've never done a family camp, you really need to do it. Now, the family camp seems to imply that you're going to be in a tent somewhere, and that's not really it. The point of the matter is to get away as a family. And what's neat about family camp at Campus by the Sea, which is on Catalina Island in California, Southern California. Many of you don't even know there's an island off the coast of Southern California. Catalina Island is where this is at. And the neat part, as I was saying about a family camp, is that there's often multi-generations that are going to appear there. So grandparents, parents, kids, grandkids, all together. And then there's everything from amazing worship to great content to incredible activities that you get to do together, and you solidify memories. On top of that, I have to say that Rod and Heather put on an amazing program. They're campers who we were with last week, as well as, oh my goodness, the staff. The staff is full of college students that are on summer break, but they're working hard. They're providing all the activities as well as attitude and energy. And I just kept thinking to myself, for all of them that were spending time with our family, I wanted them to spend more time with us and with our kids, because they were just a perfect reflection of what we are building our children to be like. Go-getters that are excited about their faith, that are active and pursuing careers and incredible families. So, man, just a great time for us to be away at Campus by the Sea. And I just posted about this. If you didn't get a chance to look at it, I just posted an article about the fact that during the week, I didn't have cell phone coverage or Wi-Fi. Now, for many of you, the thought of not having a device in your hand so that you can just keep an eye on work probably left you in a place where you would say, I don't want anything to do with that. Well, having a device and putting it away for a week is an incredible add to this family camp. And we were able to digitally detox, to get disconnected. I didn't know much about what was going on in the world, and there's so much going on, especially here in America. With the presidential race ongoing, things seem to be changing all the time, and I don't think that the ride is done. And so with all of that going on, I wasn't entertaining that. I wasn't worried about the day-to-day. I've got an incredible team. I've got great people, and it isn't as if I think that I have to be present, that I have to make every decision. If we've done it right, we can get away like that and really relax. And I have to tell you, just not looking at the news, and you've heard me say it before, I am a news junkie. Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm a news junkie. I really love the news and current events. Getting away from that and just being face forward with your children, with your wife, talking, having discussions about what could be and when do we want to and what do you think this next year is going to look like. We were just having all those conversations without us with thumbs and faces elsewhere. So amazing time, Campus by the Sea family camp. Highly recommend that, or finding a family camp that fits for you. I want you to come with me next year. I'll keep you updated. If you're interested, you can always email me and I'd be happy to tell you what week that we're going to go on and maybe you could join us. All right, I want to get into the meat of the discussion today because really the focus is for us to talk about delegation. Now, as I told you, delegation is a key strategy. Now, why do you want to get good at this? Because for the rest of your life, the ability to focus is going to be important for you. You see, all of our life has been a discovery process of God, who did you make me? What's on the inside? What am I here for? And what I pose to you in the master's program and here is that you are a once in eternity being. There is no one like you in eternity past, present, or future, and you were made for this time. And so whether it's your personality, your story, your strengths, all of these things and many more make the distinctive of the spiritual DNA that you have. And so I've been in this process of discovering who I am. Now, the thing about success is that it can lead you to a high with which you say, okay, this is it. I've got here. I don't have any more to do. And so it's really easy to give up, so to speak, and say, okay, well, I just need to sort of stay here and rinse and repeat this as long as I can until I'll just do less work someday. And that's a move that the traditional culture has told us to do, is that we'll work until we're fully funded, or we want to no longer do what we're doing. And because we've built up our freedom, we'll someday float down into death, hopefully dying in our sleep someday, and it being all calm and peaceful. But that's a recipe for disaster, by the way. That's a recipe for wasting a life. And so for us to continue on the journey, even after we've achieved success, delegation's so important. Let me explain. I'll never forget the first time that I heard Anne Graham Lotz talk about this. And she spoke at the launch of a ministry that I chair the board for called Uncharted Ministries. Tom and Joanne Doyle are amazing ministry leaders. They have an amazing team working in the Middle East. And when Anne Graham Lotz was at the event that we were hosting to launch this ministry some years ago, what she explained is that at the beginning of her ministry, she felt that she was a wide push broom. And you could say this about your career. So I'm using Christianity terms or churchianity terms in ministry, but just think of the occupation that you've got and starting with it as a wide push broom. And what she said is that as God has refined her, she has moved less and less into doing many things and more into the thing that only she can do. Much more like a sword that's sharp, then goes deep and is very pointed and knows exactly what its role is. That's what I want to help you to get to. And what I'm aiming for is to be refining myself for the rest of my life. And the only way for me to refine is to get rid of the thing that's not me. Listen to this. If anyone else can do what you're doing, it's not your calling. It's not your focus. It's not your life's mission. So for me to be on that focus, to continue to let go of things, I understand this process of letting go and that I won't be in this role forever. This role doesn't define me. I'm my own brand. And my brand is brought to the arenas that I bring my capability to, but I don't let a company or a business title define me. I'm after the focus of who I am. Why do I want that? Well, I want to be on a trajectory of relevance. I don't want to ever be irrelevant. And this, by the way, is the focus that the traditional culture has for you. The outcome that it's promising you is that someday you'll be irrelevant. I have been predicting for many months now that President Biden would pull out of the race, and he has done that. And the point of the matter is that as I've been telling people about this, I've reminded them that the moment that he says he's no longer running, he becomes quickly irrelevant, a lame duck. And it doesn't matter for anyone in any role. And I'm using this as an example because it's so clear and present for all of us, is that the power to drive your agenda starts to go away the moment you say, I'm not going to be here any longer. I've got an exit strategy, or I'm giving you my notice, or I will be retiring at a certain date. And so we don't want to be in that place, because we lose our effectivity and we start to crumble, and as other people take over. Now, it's a good thing for us to give away authority, and delegation's the tool that I want to be on with you here. But I'm making the case as to why you want to delegate, why you want to be in this focus mode, is because you want to be in the thing that only you can do, the special thing that people count on you for. So you are going to need to want to have the vision for focus that is going to say, I'm going to continue in the journey of discovering me, of releasing authority on things that are not absolutely me, understanding that even some of the best of you was a period piece and not a forever you piece. And some of those period pieces are the ones that will be a part of helping to establish the story, validate the strength, continue to show others of your ongoing significant success, but it's not the forever you or the only you. And I'm after the only me. So that's what I want you to be after, because if you understand the only me or the only you, you understand the thing that's going to keep you relevant, that's going to keep you developing and delivering till your dying breath. I don't want to let a tax designation define me. I don't want to allow a W-2, 1099, K-1, whatever. I don't want to let that be the definition of, am I relevant? Do people want me? Am I employed? No. I'm a job creator. I am a creator using the gifts that I've got. So then I want to be at that. Now, here's the frightening thing as we start to talk about delegation, because I hope I've made a good enough case for you to say that you want to be after a focus of the only you. But then I want you to ask a question. If you had 2 extra hours in your life, what would you do with them? Now, saying 2 extra hours, 8 extra hours, 14, I don't know how many you want, but how many do you want? How many extra hours do you want? Okay, so what would you do with those hours? You know, most people resist the thought of storing up margin because they don't have a vision for what would the outcome be of this. Like, what do I do if all of a sudden I don't have anything to do? And so the promise of this show that I'm talking to you about is to work less. And if you are working less, it may frighten you to think, well, that's where losers go, or that's where, lazy people go. And the point isn't to work less to do nothing. The point isn't to work less so that I can vacation more. I mean, it's an option, but it's not the option. I want you to think of it this way, is that if I'm really working less, I'm going to have more capacity. If I have more capacity, what would I apply that to? And if I have a vision for the capacity, now I'm starting to say I've got a reason why, and I want to hold back some. You see, it was the Industrial Revolution that told us all that we needed to clock in at 8, clock out at noon, get our lunch break, clock in at 1, clock out at 5. And for the professional, then probably somewhere late into the night, you're working still, right? And that rhythm pattern of 8-hour days, 40-hour work weeks or more was created as a pattern. There is no business owner out there, no boss out there who wouldn't say to you, I want you to get more results with less, right? Leverage. And by that, then we start to understand, well, I want to live leveraged. So how much do I need to work? I want a taxed-based mindset about my work that says, what's the minimum that I can work that's going to get me the maximum output? Now, if you haven't achieved a level of success first, this isn't a freedom for you, right? This freedom only comes by breaking through and attaining success. And so Paul would say it this way, is that if you've been able to achieve your freedom, don't ever be slaves to men again, right? So the more that you're able to achieve the freedom, then you have to start to ask yourself, well, can I hold back some more? And if I'm going to hold back more and I'm going to work less and make more money, I want to be able to retain that, because in our world today, there's a massive deficit in parenting. Fatherlessness included, fathers and mothers not being engaged in deciding, I'm the chief spiritual officer here. I'm the chief educational officer here. I don't outsource this to people that I pay. I'm responsible for that. And so that's a reason why. And another even bigger reason why is that the kingdom is overlooked and outsourced. I think of it something else that someone else does. I mean, I go to church every Sunday. I give to my organizations and ministries that I care about, but that's a check or a distribution of my wealth to somebody else that's outsourced and not my leadership. So if I had a vision for what I would do to be in leadership, to see incredible things happen in my family and the kingdom, and not to get rid of the best of me, no, in all arenas, the best of me being used all the time, now I would have a vision to do something completely different that would say, I do want to work less. I'm not trying to get leverage so that I just sit around and do nothing or just find more time on the golf course, but rather to say I'm very interested in getting a leveraged life so that I can live a broader, impactful, significant life. Okay, I've given you a reason why. I've even told you what you would do with it, but let's get into the how of delegation. Because delegation is a key strategy, and being effective at delegation means that I need to start asking myself about everything I'm doing. Can anyone else do this? Now, you're going to want to at first work on being consciously incompetent. You probably have not done this much. Start your process by getting out the top 10 to 20 things that you're responsible for, and just write them out. And then for each one of them, ask, can anyone else do this? And if anyone else can do it, it needs to be prepared to be delegated. Now, quite possibly you may have some things on you that you're saying, well, it's a place where I'm exhausted by it, or I don't like doing it. Those are also key candidates for delegation, even if you don't have somebody directly ready to take this on. So much of the trust that you want to have as a leader can be built when you trust other people. It has a reciprocity to it that happens when I trust you, you naturally trust me. So giving someone a bigger assignment than they're ready for, putting the mantle of leadership onto them, or an assignment that they're going to have to grow into, is something that can be a great opportunity, especially if you're looking to offload those things that you're losing energy doing, you don't want to be doing, and you'd be really excited to hand off to somebody else. All right, so you've gotten all these things done, and what I'm telling you is that if you will stay in a mode of keeping track of what you're doing and always in your mind asking yourself, can anyone else do this? Am I losing energy, not gaining energy by doing it? Could I outsource it? Who would I give it to? Who would I delegate it to? Now you have a mindset that's going to keep you on top of all that you're holding on into this portfolio and believing that you can outsource it. Now, there's a key way to do this in a healthy way that's going to help you to be strong in the delegation, right? Because it's not just delegating things out. The way that our mentor and the founder of the master's program used to talk about this is that originators or those that create businesses, they build a box, they get in the box, but they never get out of the box, right? They never decide to exit what they've built, and they are afraid of that. Now, you may not be ready to fully exit out of what you've built, but you've got a vision for that. Many entrepreneurs are thinking, I would like to get out of this. I need to find a way to extract myself from it. Well, here's the way for you to do that. And it's a 3-part process as you're handing these things out. Because delegation done wrong is one where I'm just sort of doing flyby, throwing it at people, emailing them, being unclear about expectations, timeline, how-tos. I want to do this in strength. So this 3-step process is the process for you to do that delegation in strength. And you don't leave things in a place where you're wondering, how do I manage this? Is it going to be a good outcome? Are we going to lose revenue, clients, or employees because I've delegated this? Is this going to be a big mistake? These are the 3 things that you're going to want to do to stay in strength to achieve this outcome. Number 1, who, by, when. Who, by, when. Now, this is a language that one of my former bosses, my last corporate boss, had given to me, and she always used to say, Jeff, who, by, when, who, by, when. And that was always on her tongue. And as a leader, if she was in the room, you knew that one of those tasks that started to fly out into the air in a meeting, you know what it's like, and everyone's like hot potato, or they're not sure. She was quick with the who, by, when, and she had inserted that into us as a mode of operation so that we're always thinking who, by, when. And this is the beginning, right? Is that we need to know who it is with a time box, who, by, when. And whether I'm asking my team to get a who, by, when out, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're going to delegate something. Who's going to take it on, and by when does it need to be done? Or by when is the first milestone checkpoint? When do I need to be engaged with them? Now, as you're communicating it to them, you're going to be able to say, Jeff, I want you to do this by November 30th. Jeff, by November 30th. And that who, by, when is established so that between now and that date, I'm able to stay in the story, checking in, and then also teaching them what it means for them to do well. Now, for me to teach them, if they're not ready or they're taking this on, I want them to have the expectations to be like an incredible maitre d' at a restaurant. You know what it's like if you're at a good restaurant with a good maitre d'. It's that you come in, you had a reservation at that restaurant. It was for 6:30 p.m. You're there on time, and the maitre d' says, I'm sorry, Mr. Gerhardt, we're not ready to seat you. It's going to be an extra 10 minutes. Can I get you something to drink and help you to be comfortable while you're waiting? Good service, right? And then what the good maitre d' does is to keep them updated. Okay, Mr. Gerhardt, the table is just about to be ready. I think we're still on track. It's going to be another 5 minutes, and we're going to be able to make this happen. And if anything changes, maintaining expectations is important through this process. And so you're going to want to communicate to those that you're handing something important off to, is to make sure that they're in high communication with you and making sure that if anything changes, and things do, right? It doesn't matter. Things will always change. Expectations need to be managed through that process. So as they're talking to you, they're keeping you up to date about the story of something went wrong, something went right. Are we tracking to this? And can I make sure that you know that we're still good for Jeff by November 30th? Who, by, when? Who, by, when? Get that into your lexicon and mindset as you're starting this process. That's step 1, who, by, when. Step 2 is define done. Now, so often as we've delegated something, the ability to know what the scope is unclear, or maybe we think they should already know, or can't you read my mind? And I've been guilty of this, right? Read my mind. But if we do this right, we're going to do this in strength. We're going to not only have the who, by, when, but we're going to say, this is what it looks like when it's complete. When it's complete, it's going to have these 10 columns from the database, not the 20 columns, just these 10, being very specific. And I only want this data. I don't want 10,000 records. I only want these 1,000 records, right? And by squaring that up into this is what done looks like in high detail and definition, we can be certain together. Now, I'm going to want to ask questions. Does this make sense? Do you understand what this looks like? Is there anything that you want to clarify? Now, this is where you're going slow to go fast. And by going slow, you slow down enough to be able to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And being on the same page is going to help you to get there and land this successfully. So defining done is the process that a good leader will sit down, have the conversation, and be certain that this is what the outcome should be. And then number three is ensure capability. Now, if you've defined done, you know your who by when, you've got to make the final check that there isn't any constraint that would keep them from being successful. Because as leaders, our role is to take roadblocks out of the way, get those out of the way so that their path forward is as certain as can be. So do you have the money? Do you have the access? Do you have the resources? Do you have the people? Do you have the know-how? What are you missing that I want to make sure that you have to ensure the capabilities in place for you to be able to achieve it? Ensuring capability gives them the confidence as well. Because oftentimes when the delegation of that responsibility starts to land with me, the things that may be coming up in my mind are fear and uncertainty. And that fear and uncertainty can lead me to a place where I start to think, oh man, I can't do this, or I have all these reasons why it won't work. And we want to be able to take those off the table openly to say, what are you missing? What do you need? What won't work? Let's talk it out, okay? And if you need it, I'm prepared to back you to get it. That's going to give your people the confidence as they're taking on the delegation and opportunity to be fully ready to be able to jump in with 2 feet. Ensuring capability is also going to do an important part of this. It's going to give you the confidence that you're handing something off effectively, that you know that they've got the capability, you know that they understand the scope, and they know that it's them and by what date. And you've given it over to them in confidence and in strength. All 3 of these things are really, really necessary for me to be able to achieve this process of working less. And then I want to be able to do that so that I can get more leverage and do more incredible things. Perhaps it's going to be to start more businesses or have more business ventures. Could very possibly be to be able to be incredibly present with your family, building memories with your spouse, or working to establish incredible kingdom fruit that's going to last forever, and building this ecosystem that doesn't just think about how much income I'm getting, and income's great and it's a good scoreboard. Money isn't necessarily the problem as long as it's not the idol or the thing that I'm worshiping. It's the part of the ecosystem that makes it all work. But I don't want to be just another guy that's just following the rhythms of what everyone else is doing. I want to be extravagant and incredible with success. What would it be like for you to be extravagant in your life? That's one of the things that I'm posing in a lot of forums. Extravagant career, extravagant family, extraordinary kingdom life, extravagant generosity. In fact, I want to tell you about that because that's coming up for us this week. And if you're unable to make it, you can certainly catch the recording of this, but we have an incredible event coming up called Extravagant Generosity. Extravagant and Generosity is coming as a free masterclass that we are offering to help you focus on how do you live a life that gives significantly and accelerates extravagantly with giving. If you want to join us for this free masterclass, it's going to be an hour. You can go to www.priorityliving.org/extravagant-generosity. That's extravagant with a dash, generosity. And you're going to be able to go there. In fact, I will have the link in the notes, but you can type that in to your web browser, get there, register. And we're going to be hosting this, and it's going to give you an incredible ability to get ahead with your partner, with your spouse, with your family, with your own journey in giving. You know, these days, there's so many opportunities, and as we're finding those opportunities, we want to be able to interrogate, how do we do this, right? Who do we give to? What's the right amount? And how do we arrange our lives to have it be a success point, not an uncertainty point? We're going to be going into that. I can't wait to go through this with you. I'll be doing this with Trey Sheneman, who's going to be hosting the event. And I'll be delivering that content. You'll be able to interact with me through that. Hey, I want to thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Leveraging Success. I'm so glad that you're here, and I trust that what we're talking about is helping you to leverage your success, to continue to be on a journey that being effective in delegation and being an incredible leader is going to lead you to a place that you never expected, but is going to be amazing. I'd love for you to continue on this journey with me. So please follow the podcast. Subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. I'd also love to hear your feedback. So please make sure to leave a review on the podcast. You can also email me at jeff@leveragingsuccesspodcast.com to tell me what you think of the show, what you like, what you'd like to hear more of. I'd also be happy to address some of your questions live here on the show. And of course, you can get me through any of the links that are in the notes, including accessing my LinkedIn, talking to me through there, YouTube. I love getting comments there. Hey, thank you so much for being here and joining me live online. I look forward to being on this journey with you, leveraging success, helping you to work less, make more, and live an incredible life for Christ. Until next time, God bless you.